well, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I think I might try tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow night or Friday. Probably Saturday. I might edit this. But might try to make a temporary drop for the beginning, just until we do the Fiverr thing.
Yeah.
So I might do a drop for the beginning, but
throw in some free music and whatever.
Yeah. Just do a drop of, welcome to the podcast, or whatever the fuck the name of this thing is.
Welcome to the podcast.
I always say welcome to, and then I have to correct it because it's actually, and this is View from the Podcast.
So it's welcome to A View from the Podcast. There you go.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No. I'm just so completely thrown off. All right. This is View from the Podcast. This is Chuck.
And I'm Sean.
And we are back after a brief hiatus. We had a lot of things going on. It's been actually pretty busy around these parts. So I know I've been on vacation for a week and a half, and then I had a concert that I went to. So I've been all over the place, halfway across the country and back, and work's been lovely. So I did end my vacation with a concert in Boston, which was pretty fun. I got to see Hank Green and the Perfect Strangers, and Harry and the Potters, and Rob Scallon, and Andrew Wong, and Driftless Pony Club, and that was a lot of fun. I'll put their links in the show notes for each band and whatnot, and they're pretty awesome. So I would definitely go check them out. So
I got a quick question for you. If it's Harry and the Potters, is it just like him and a bunch of zombies?
No, actually, there's both main. It's a 3-person band. Both of the main guys kind of look like grown-up Harry, sort of. So both of them are called Harry Potter, and then they actually had the ghost of Cedric Diggory as the drummer. Which, spoiler, if you haven't seen the Harry Potter movies,
well, I haven't seen it, damn it.
Well,
you're ruining it for me.
Yeah.
I have been watching it recently.
Oh, did I actually spoil something?
No,
Seriously?
No, you haven't.
Oh,
my kids.
Jeez, that would have sucked.
It actually all started because my kids watched it. They literally blasted through all 8 movies in less than a week. I mean, they were just were watching them back to back. And so after they watched them all, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I should probably watch them too, because I've been putting it off forever. Yeah, so I sat and watched, and I'm actually up to the Half-Blood Prince. I'm halfway through that.
All right, so you're on book 6. Cool.
Yeah, so there's 7 books, but 8 movies, right?
Yeah, because of course that's the chic thing to do now, is we have to split the last movie, the last book or whatever, into 2 movies.
Well, it is chic now, but I believe Harry Potter did it first.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying it's chic now.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah, so while you've been off vacationing and stuff, I've been sitting around watching Harry Potters and staring at my computer.
I don't see a problem with staring at Harry Potter, but okay.
Well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We have different sensibilities.
I'd rather be watching Lord of the Rings, honestly.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah. So, no, but other than that, I mean, my kids had they turned 10. I have twins, for those that don't know. And they turned 10 recently, so we had a nice big party here at the house for them. And that was, oh God, that was nerve-wrackingly painful. 15 little 10-year-old girls, singing, Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, and doing karaoke, and, oh God, the pain. The pain!
So you only had little girls at this party?
Yes. My daughters decided they want to have a girls-only party.
Well, that at least makes life a little bit easier for you. Well, maybe not easier, but less... I don't know. I don't know the word I want to use, actually.
Yeah. I don't know what it was, but it was painful. Could have been worse with boys? Maybe.
Right, and I guess that's where I was trying to go, and I just couldn't think of the wording, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, hey, they had a blast. It all worked out right in the end. Nobody got hurt, thankfully.
Always a plus.
Yeah, that was my big thing. You have all these kids in your house running around, and you never know who's going to bump into what or fall over and just hurt themselves, and did not want to deal with that.
Yeah, because you've got a couple sharp corners in your house, too, so I could definitely see somebody whipping around a corner and running into somebody, or running into something, or running into the dog, or... Yeah.
Well, thankfully the dog, my wife was fortunate enough to listen to me on that instance, and we put all the dogs, we locked them in the basement, so I did not have to worry about them hurting the kids, or the kids running over them, or something like that.
Well, that was a good bit of pre-planning, then.
Yeah, it was. It was an effort. All right. So what's next on the agenda? Movie time?
Movie time. Movie news.
Movie news. It's time for movie news. You know, one of these days we're going to get through...
I'm sampling that, and that's actually... I bet you that I'm going to make that the drop so I can use that every time. Oh my god, I'm sampling it. It's done.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to get through a podcast without me singing some stupid lick.
Someday, but not today.
Today is not that day.
Exactly. Now I'm going to have to go back through the old ones so I can sample other stuff.
So what's going on in movie news?
I think the big thing this week is the new Avengers movie comes out, so I'm sure I'll be avoiding malls and movie theaters for at least a week or two.
Yeah, I guess. I was planning on taking like a sick day, maybe next week, and just going to see it during the week, just to avoid the crowds.
Oh, like during the day?
Yeah, maybe like on Tuesday or something like that. Hopefully my boss isn't listening, because I'm really sick, boss. Come on.
You actually give your boss your personal stuff?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't either.
If he ever finds this, it'll be like years down the road.
Right? When you're leaving. And even then, no.
Well, no, but it would be like one of those things that somebody will like randomly come up somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a strict no boss on any of my social stuff policy. I actually got burned at our last job there. I actually got burned by a former manager. I had been venting on my Facebook, and not even about anybody specifically, just about the work and the job, and she tattled to my current boss, which was our boss. And, and then he, is like, what's going on? Why are you unhappy? Why are you bitching about this publicly? And I'm like, well, that solves this problem.
It's like it wasn't public. It was Facebook.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, actually, my wife and I were just discussing this the other day because she doesn't even follow me on Twitter or vice versa. It's like I think you actually follow my wife more on those social media than I do.
Yeah, I do. I have her. Well, I think I took her off Instagram because I was getting duplicates between Facebook and Instagram. They were posting to both. So, for the most part, I don't think I follow her on Instagram. So I think it's just Facebook now. I think I've actually cut down on following your wife to just Facebook.
Stalking my wife, damn it.
I was going to say that sounded a lot creepier than I meant it to be.
Yeah, well, I'm never on Facebook. I mean, Twitter is my only guilty pleasure of guilty social media pleasure. There we go. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not on Facebook. Tumblr, there's a funny story in Tumblr. Well, not really a funny story, but for whatever reason, they will not let me sign into my account. It keeps telling me my account has been deactivated, and I'm not Tumblr. I'm sorry, Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, well, why is my account deactivated? Is there a way to reset it? And it's like, no, your account's just deactivated. I'm like, you know what? You people suck. So on the other side of the movie news, we have the trailer news, which is more like the YouTube roundup of things we got going on. So as I'm sure everybody knows, the second Star Wars trailer dropped for Episode 7. Ooh. We're home, Chewie. I actually really did enjoy that trailer. That was a thing of beauty, especially given how many times I've probably watched it. It's masterfully done, I must say.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of, at least for me, there was a lot of, there's a lot of things that could be, thought of a couple different ways. So there's definitely, I think, I like the way they cut the trailer. I think there's definitely some interpretation. There's definitely some things that they absolutely gave away. But I think for the most part, well, maybe not the most part, but there's also some things that are still left up. I guess it wasn't like a lot of trailers that, spoiled a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely alluded to some things, but you're not 100% sure.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they really gave anything away so much as they teased a lot of things.
Well, I think the gender of Luke's child, I think, is pretty much given away in it. But I mean, that's really and the fact that obviously, as you alluded to, that Han and Chewie will be back.
Well, I think we know everyone is coming back from the original series.
Sure.
That wasn't much of a spoiler. I mean, that's
yeah, you knew they were
it wasn't a
coming
spoiler
back,
for anyone that follows, all the announcements they've been putting out.
But as far as like plot things go, for new characters, like I said, I think they alluded pretty heavily to the gender of Luke's child that's going to be the focus.
Did they?
So
I think I missed that.
Just from a couple of the scenes that I've seen, or watching the trailer, it just seems like I think so.
Is his child the girl, the main girl in that?
I think. Well, thanks for letting me try to say gender 18 times. Yeah, I
don't know. I mean, I don't remember.
Luke and Leia, I believe, had twins, if I remember correctly from official canon. I'm pretty sure Luke and Leia, or not.
I was about to pull you up. Like, really, that would have been some disturbing twins there.
Yeah, Luke and it's either I think Luke and whoever he married had twins. I'm 99% sure that Han and Leia had twins.
Yes, I remember that, but I don't know. Is that still considered? Was that canon?
I'm honestly not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't remember what they led into the EU and what they kind of just said isn't canon.
I'm not 100% sure.
But you know what? Movie's right around the corner for the most part. I mean, we're talking Christmas time.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'd necessarily call that right around the corner, but sure.
Honestly, 6 months, that's really coming up on it. 6, 7 months? Well, like 7 months. But we're not that far away.
That is very true.
It's not like a Batman with a 2016 stamped on it.
Yeah, we can move on to that if you want to, but oh my god, was that awful.
Well, I don't know. Did you have more on Star Wars?
No, just that I'm really, excited to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely super stoked for it. I will. I mean, like the Avengers movies like we talked about are coming out this weekend, and I may go see it. Definitely not peak time.
Yeah.
Star Wars, I don't give a shit. I will be there peak time. Opening night, not opening night, but I will go out of my way to see me some Star Wars. I love me some Star Wars.
Well, I know for Avengers, this Friday I know some theaters are doing a double feature, kind of like they did with the last Cornetto movie with Simon Pegg when they were doing
right.
The World's End. They're playing the Avengers leading up to midnight showing of Avengers 2.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's becoming quite popular recently. I remember for Lord of the Rings, they had done that. They ran both movies before Return of the King came out. I don't remember any place that was running all three before Hobbit came out. But I know some places were running the Hobbit movies, each one before the sequel came out. Up until the Five Armies. So, Superman versus Batman.
Yeah, I don't know where you want to start with that pile of fucking awfulness. I almost said awesomeness, and I almost bit my tongue because Jesus, it was horrible.
Yeah, that's perfect place to start. You know what? Something I actually discovered somewhat recently is that some people are really stoked for this, and I don't get it. I mean, Man of Steel was horrible, and some people just don't have that connection. They really liked Man of Steel, and I don't know. This movie just looked god awful to me.
Yeah, I have nothing on it. I mean, to me, especially with the subtag of Dawn of Justice, I mean, they're clearly just setting up for the next, 7 frickin' movies with, doing probably more origin stories to get to the Justice League stuff. But yeah, I just looked at it, and they're doing like a metal Iron Man, Batman, it looks like, in one scene, and like you said, I saw Man of Steel and I was not impressed at all. Henry Cavill, I've liked in other things. He was in The Tudors. He was really good. I've seen him in a couple other things and he's been good, but this was that was not a role for him for me. I just didn't buy it, and I know Ben Affleck still has the stink of Daredevil on him, but I don't know. I have no. I guess if anything, if there's a bright side to it, at least we're so down on it that it can only be surprisingly good. I mean, we'll either be satisfied that it was awful, or it'll be surprisingly good.
I wouldn't call it surprise. It's a Zack Snyder film. It's not going to be surprisingly anything except slow-mo.
If it's not awful, it'll be surprisingly good. So, any other movie trailers or anything you've seen recently?
I mean, recently there's been a lot. Like the new Ant-Man trailer came out, which is another movie I'm not particularly in a rush to see. I'm sure I'll see it eventually when it like hits HBO or something, because I'm not running out to see that one. But yeah, it's the only thing that's hitting me off the top of my mind here.
Yeah, I have really no interest in seeing Ant-Man either. I mean, it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy ended up being good, but there's not a whole lot of motion behind Ant-Man. I mean, I guess I don't know the word that I want to use, but
no motion in the ocean.
Sort of. Yeah, it's just like he wasn't a huge figure, at least to me in the comics, I read growing up. And granted, I am definitely more of a Marvel guy over a DC guy, but, Ant-Man to me, had never had appeal. I mean, I knew he existed, but that's pretty much the extent of it.
So what's next on the agenda for today?
You keep asking that.
Do I?
And I have to keep editing it out.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Edit more.
I plan on it. And now I'm probably just going to leave it in. The other thing that I've seen a bunch of lately, we were talking about trailers releasing, a bunch of them lately, but it seems like there's a lot of shows that, or actors who are in popular shows are now using that popularity to crowdfund internet shows. Will Wheaton and Geek and Sundry did it for the third season of Tabletop, and there's actually 2 different series that I'm pretty interested in that are kind of doing the same thing. One of them is with Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk, both from Firefly. They're doing a show called Con Men, which is, I guess the premise is, one guy who is relatively famous, Nathan, and one guy who's kind of not done so well after their famous show do the con circuit. So it sounds like it could be interesting, and I know they did like a massive crowdfunding Indiegogo or Kickstarter, whichever it was, to fund the season of it. And thankfully it's something that Fox can't kill.
That's interesting. So, and then you have Rob Benedict and Richard, what's his name?
Dick Speight, yeah. Richard Speight Jr. from both from Supernatural, who
that are like almost doing the exact same thing.
Sort of. It's kind of the same thing. Except theirs is more, I think, supposed to be like, going around on the con circuit. But, Supernatural, if you haven't watched it and you don't, follow the cons for them, I mean, they have some of the most passionate fans, of a lot of shows. These are, they played kind of minor characters in the show, both of them, Rob Benedict playing a character named Chuck and Richard Speight playing Gabriel or Loki or the Trickster. He kind of went by a couple names, but it's the same character. The Supernatural fandom embraces pretty much everybody that's been on the show, so it's really cool to see, fandoms support the actors that they like, and like I said, with these crowdfunding things, the people can really dictate what they want to see. And there's no network crap where the network can say, we're not going to fund that or anything like that. The people are going to say, we have this extra money. We want to see this, we like this idea. We want to see this idea. Make the idea. So I think it's really cool that it seems like a lot of indie shows and even, with mainstream actors or indie actors, indie directors and everything, there's a new market, and I wouldn't even say it's a new market. It's been happening for a while. It's definitely a new world that, you're not confined by the networks to try to get something out there and be popular and successful. It's a lot easier now to get your stuff between YouTube and, things like that, to get your stuff made and to make it yourself if you can.
Yeah, definitely, man. YouTube, Vidmo, there's a bunch of just like these video platforms that people are really pushing and doing really well on. And you're starting to get the attention of like other things, like now Hulu's doing unique properties. Netflix, but that's still more like TV kind of properties. I think Hulu's kind of like grabbed onto that more than anyone else. The like the webisodes kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Although Hulu, Netflix is it's kind of a TV format, but it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely some non-mainstream material.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, from what I've seen of the Netflix originals, they tend to definitely be, at least in my opinion, more big budget stuff that, like, they managed to wrangle away from, like, an HBO.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, in the future, as we keep going forward, how much more, networks are going to have to, either, I think networks eventually are going to go away, or something's going to happen where mainstream media is they're going to have to embrace this somehow, and I don't know how they're going to do it. As more and more of us cut the cord and go to to the web format, or, not a web format, but, cable has been upping and upping their prices for so long that I think a lot of people are just like, screw it. I don't need this anymore. Between things like Hulu and like you said, Netflix and Amazon Prime, there's just not a need for it anymore.
And there's more and more services coming out that support you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the amount of TV I watch, I was paying $150-something a month for, as little TV as I was watching, and now I'm down to $53. So I cut $100 off of that, and even if I add back in my Netflix and Hulu, I mean, technically my cable right now, because I just have like the base so I can get access to some of the websites and whatnot for certain networks. I think right now my cable is like $8. It's the lowest you can get. But even if I didn't, that's, I think between my Netflix and Hulu, it's like $18 a month, compared to the 150 something I was paying before to be able to get content. So, like I said, the networks are definitely going to have to do something, because there's no way they can thrive when, so many content providers are very happy to go and find success, outside the traditional medium.
Nice.
But speaking of traditional mediums, there's been a new show come out, and it actually started on it actually started as kind of a goof game with Stephen Merchant and Emily Blunt, I think, and John Krasinski from The Office. It's called Lip Sync Battle. It's on Spike.
And it like you said, it started with those three actors, and like they brought it to Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and it just took off on there. And so now they got their own actual TV show. And it's quite interesting. I mean, just to see fairly big-name celebrities just kind of acting like fools at times, it's amusing.
Yeah, and like you said, there's definitely some big-name actors that have been on it already. Anne Hathaway, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. What are some others that you've seen?
Emily Blunt. They had Terry Crews. Maybe not a huge-name actor, but still a very funny guy. They had... And
didn't I see he went against Tyson, I thought, didn't he?
Yes. Him and Mike Tyson, which Tyson's an interesting fellow.
Yeah. I don't think he's that far off from what you see in The Hangover, honestly. From all published reports that I've ever read, he seems very close to the character, to the Mike Tyson character he played in The Hangover. But anyways, I'm digressing.
Yeah, from the way he was acting, I would say that's probably on par with what I would say. Yeah, but I mean, so far they've just done a handful of episodes. They post all their stuff on their YouTube channel as well, so I mean, people seem to be really digging it, and it's honestly quite funny. I've been watching it with the wife, and it's definitely funny at times. And just when my wife is always very much on the topic of oh well, nobody could beat that, and then like the next week someone comes out and just blows it away, and she's like, oh wow. It's definitely a fun little show. Don't know how long it's going to last, but it's been fun so far.
Yeah, I see it being kind of a flash, although, who knows. I think it's funny at times that, this show is being celebrated, and, in the past people have been mocked for, not actors, but singers have been, mocked for kind of doing the same thing to their own songs in public. But this show is kind of celebrating actors, lip-syncing them in public for a performance. So there's a weird, not irony, but I don't know. There's something.
Yep, it's definitely something.
And I can't think of any other shows that I'm watching right now. I mean, the only show that I watch kind of religiously is, like I said, Supernatural, and I've been on that. There's only about 5 episodes left this season. It's been definitely a roller coaster this season, although most of them are a roller coaster, but it's definitely been an interesting season so far.
Well, you know what is back on? Some Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm behind. I know we talked about this in the last episode, and I've not kowtowed to the man yet, and picked up my HBO Now subscription.
Yep, ponied up them big bucks. Well, I mean, without any spoilers or anything, I will say that I have been enjoying the season so far. It's been rather slow so far, but I have been enjoying it. And it's definitely, they've definitely gone askew from the books in a big way, at least in my opinion. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, and I mean, he has also read the books and has been watching the show, and he just didn't really seem to be as concerned about the differences. He said they were more minor. I tend to think that they're kind of major, but that's my own opinion. I know everyone's different on it.
Yeah, I've heard kind of both opinions of it. Of, you know, either they're really happy that they're diverting, so it's not the same, or that, you know, you get the purists that are like, oh my god, the world's ending because they're diverting from the book. So, yeah, I've heard both ends of the spectrum on that.
Yeah, well, while I'm definitely not a purist by any means, there's certain things that I just don't like to see them change. I understand why they change stuff. You know, sometimes it's easier rather than trying to introduce new characters. You take an existing character and make them do something. I get that kind of stuff. It's just, obviously, the show... It's interesting because the show is at certain points with characters that is ahead of the books, and at other points with other characters where it's behind the books. So it's definitely an odd thing to kind of see. So it's almost like, you know, you might be getting spoilers of what will happen in the book, but in a lot of cases things are so different, you probably won't. Yeah,
I can definitely see why they would have, you know, an established character do it, because honestly, and I've seen a couple internet memes about this where, actually there's the best one. I'll see if I can find it, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes. There's, I think it was a kid, or, well, a guy who's probably in his, you know, early 20s, was watching Game of Thrones with, I believe it's his mom or his dad, and then went through and took pictures of all the main characters, and, you know, one by one showed his mother, and then wrote down the answer to what his mom said the character name was, and some of them are actually pretty friggin' hysterical.
Well, yeah, let's be fair, though. Those character names aren't the most, the easiest thing to remember in a lot of cases.
Yeah, they're not. In some cases, you know, you don't see a character for 4 or 5 episodes, and then they come back, so you're like, I kind of remember him. He was the guy who was the red thing.
Yeah, and in some cases, you know, people are referred to by multiple names.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, either by their name or their title or where they rule, or yeah.
As long as you remember the last names, you gotta know your house. What house are you for? That's the most important thing.
I think I must be House Stark, because if of all the crap that I've gotten from, you know, that's Game of Thrones related, I think most of it is Stark related, so I'd have to say I'm probably House Stark.
I think most people tend to equate themselves with the Starks. I don't know where I fall. I want to say I'm a Lannister, but I'm not blonde enough for that.
Well, Tyrion's not exactly blonde, though everybody else was, so...
Yeah, but that's more of the TV show rather than the books. The books, they were all very blonde. Even Tyrion. Speaking of which, that's another character that is very, you know, like, they call him the Imp, they call him Tyrion, and then his father's name is Tywin, which is... Right. It all gets confused in there.
And then somehow... And that's what cracks me up, especially about the Lannisters. Like you said, you have Tywin, Tyrion, Cersei, and then Jaime. You know, it's like... How freaking lazy did you get? It's like, okay, I'm going to give all these interesting names to the other 3, and then you get Jaime. I mean, which Jaime's a fine name and all, but, you know, with all the other names in the books and in the show, it just cracks me up that you have all of these interesting names, Brienne of Tarth and, you know, Targaryen and all that, and then you get Jaime.
But that's the interesting part, at least to me, is that Jaime, I actually forget the queen's name now. His sister, Cersei. So, they are twins. So, you name one kid Cersei, and you name the other one Jaime. It seems like a big stretch there.
Yeah.
And then to name their youngest child something totally else, Tyrion, I don't know. I think if anything, Jaime would have been Tyrion because it's close to Tywin.
Yes. It's surprising that you would name the dwarf not bastard, but the dwarf child that you were thinking about drowning close to your own name. It just, that's always struck me as a little bit weird that,
But what are we gonna do?
Tune in next week.
I'll tune in every week.
Well, I hope you're not tuning in when they're not on, because, that seems kind of counterproductive.
Well, technically, I don't ever tune in. I have a DVR for that.
Fair enough.
I queue it up and watch them as I can.
Yeah, that's what I like about like Hulu and stuff is, I can go a couple weeks behind and then just binge like 3 or 4 in a row. It's great.
Yeah. Well, that's actually happens to be one of the only shows that I watch and I actually know other people that watch it. So it's one of the shows that I tend to keep up to date on. Like, my DVR is filled with shows that I just haven't had a chance to watch. And I'm sure I will eventually, but it's like my wife and I, we sit down and we want to watch something at night, and it's just like, I don't really feel like watching any of this stuff right now. Let's go see what's on Netflix. Or let's just go watch a movie.
Yeah, I fell behind on a bunch of DVR stuff in a couple shows. Was it 2 years ago now? Before I got rid of my cable, I had a massive DVR failure. Like, the whole box just basically up and died one night. Or night into morning, and there was like 2 or 3 shows. There was Grimm, I think Once Upon a Time, and something else that I was really into. So I lost a half season or a little more than half a season, and I just haven't been able to get back into it, which really stinks, especially for Grimm. I really enjoyed Grimm, but I'll have to try to maybe this summer when it goes in repeats. I'll try to catch up on it. But yeah, I had a massive DVR failure, so I don't have a whole lot of faith in physical devices much anymore. I back up everything twice.
I'm pretty sure Grimm's on Netflix.
Oh, it absolutely is. So is Once Upon a Time. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I have no interest in Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Nothing.
It was... The first couple seasons were good. And that was the other thing that I had with that one specifically, is the middle of the season I was in, it was just... It was getting... it definitely, I think, was... If it hadn't jumped the shark, it was getting close to it. So that one I really had an issue with getting back into. Grimm, on the other hand, I was really enjoying, and I just haven't gotten back to it yet.
So, the other day I discovered this website called Fiverr.
I was going to say, I didn't think we could talk about those kind of sites on the show.
I would talk about it. I don't care. Nobody I know is listening. My wife's not listening to this, hopefully.
There you go.
Hopefully. Yeah, so it came across this website called Fiverr. And it's literally 5 with an extra R on the end. And essentially what it is you can buy service... It sounds odd when I say it like this, but you buy services for $5.
Well, let's define what we mean by services.
Yeah,
like, if you need a jingle made, or you need a graphic made, or you need some voiceover work or something like that, that's kind of what we're talking about with services.
Exactly. But it's even more than just like that kind of help. You can get, like someone to read a podcast to you, or not read a book to you, to, what were some of the other things I saw? Like, just do, like, help you with just dumb things, like copy and paste things from one forum to another. Someone to help you with SQL queries. There's, like, so many of, like, just everything. It's an oddball of a site for me.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, some of them definitely make sense. I get some of them, like, making graphics and Photoshop editing, stuff that you might not have access to, the software or whatnot. And some of those, especially, you and I know that some of those can be, quite expensive. But, yeah, like they have some with online marketing, which you can do, they'll do domain research for you, they'll do blog mentions. So it's basically like paying for clicks, I guess.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those that I saw. People will, $5 and I'll follow you on Instagram and I'll like all your photos. And people that, how much time do these people have in a day that they're going to follow you on Twitch and comment on your video? Just, who pays for this?
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, how many times do we send each other videos during the day? And if they're 5 or 6 minutes, that's 5 or 6 minutes you could be doing that. So, I mean, I guess... I can see it, I guess, and especially as much time as, at night we sometimes spend on the computer. I can kind of see it. It seems like an odd job, but...
Yeah, it's true. Hey, for $5, people will do almost anything.
Yeah, that's very true. And one of them I saw that I actually thought was quite interesting was, people who do transcripts, or they'll transcribe videos or audios, which I know there's been a big push on YouTube lately, to be more inclusive of, the deaf community. So I know that's been a big thing. A lot of YouTube people have been, pushing on their channels, or not pushing, but, talking about on their channels as, doing transcriptions, which I know for me is I just don't get to do it. But yeah, so that was an interesting one for me that I kind of stuck out.
Yeah, there's I saw some of those as well. There was there's a lot of, so in finding this site, I was thinking to myself, there's definitely things that I could do to make $5. So in doing some research, I found people were talking about how, like, especially around some of the digital editing, like the Photoshop and some of that stuff, there was some talk about how people were selling ideas, or not so much ideas, but like logos that didn't belong to them, or images that didn't belong to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were passing that off as their own work and collecting the money for it. Which, it's certainly shady, but, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And just one of those things to kind of watch out for, buying from less reputable sources on things. You may be buying a logo that, oh, look, this is my new logo. But really it's, someone took an Oscar logo and just kind of rebranded, just put your name underneath it with a little extra triangle on there, and here you go, here's your new logo for you.
Yeah. Yeah, where they're selling, or, maybe they created the original first one, and then they're just, like you said, just making minor modifications, so yours looks, slightly different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's the, the thing that cracks me up sometimes. You get people I'll see on forums and whatnot of, how to get the audio from YouTube videos, because, the music's copyrighted, and there'll be a link to something, and, nobody seems to put in there that, this does not get around copyright. It's still copyrighted material, regardless if you're just pulling audio from it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something to keep, like you said, to keep in mind that, just still, you can pay for some of these things, but just do your due diligence and make sure you're checking things out, and make sure you're checking out who you're buying stuff from and who you're getting, you would check out the guy who's fixing your roof. Just check out at least a little bit the guy who's, creating your logos or whatever.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is buy a logo from someone and put it on your website and find out that he stole it from somebody else.
Yeah, and you possibly could be, partially responsible for that because you're using it. It's
exactly.
You could still be liable because you're the one who's using it, and they may disappear, and you're kind of stuck holding the bag.
Yep. That is.
Your company will be the one to get the cease and desist, not Guy X from the internet.
But that's what people do to save a quick buck.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the one that's cracking me up now that I'm just kind of surfing the site is you can pay $5 to have files converted, and that just, which back in the day I kind of got, because I know when I started first getting into computers, getting a picture to a JPEG or something was kind of a big deal, because you either had to go to Kinko's or you had to go know somebody who happened to have a scanner, or it was definitely not the easiness of having a cell phone, or scanners, or slide readers and stuff like this. So I don't know, that one just kind of cracks me up a little bit.
And that might be one of the ones I'm trying to do as well.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's like the easy things that I can do, I probably will.
Hey, if you can make a couple bucks and not break the law, there you go.
Exactly. That's my goal. Stay legit.
Yeah, you have 2 10-year-olds to support. We can't have you going to jail.
Yeah, for copying a file.
Right. So talking about the internet, have you seen anything on any good games or anything like that lately? Any game news? Oh. Game news.
Yeah, there's been a lot of game news recently. One of the bigger ones is Konami, who they make like the Metal Gear series of games, and what else to do? Silent Hill, and like not a lot of big names, but like those are some like their bigger titles. And
well, also Konami is also known infamously or famously for the Konami code, the up, up, down, down, left, right, BA
Yep.
start.
Yep, from Contra.
Yes.
Which is another one of their games. Interestingly enough, Contra was not the first game that code was used in, but it is most synonymously known with Contra.
Yeah, because it was Gradius, I think. Gradius, I think.
I forget the name of the original game, but you may be correct.
I want to say it's Gradius, because I think I remember reading that somewhere.
Probably something I sent you.
More than likely.
Yeah, so recently Konami has, shit the bed, really. So one of their most prolific game designers and developers is I can't even pronounce his name, but his last name is Kojima.
Okay,
His first name,
good enough.
Yeah, first name was going to lose me. But so basically, in the last week or two, they have essentially stripped his name from all their Metal Gear sites, which he's like the lead designer and creator of all the Metal Gear games. They've stripped his name from that. They've stripped it from all sorts of other company paraphernalia. And, they're really going all over the place. Recently they delisted themselves from the New York Stock Exchange. They're canceling the upcoming Silent Hill game, which was literally just announced less than a year ago. And they actually even have not so much a demo. Yeah, actually it is. It's a playable demo out on the PS4 store, which ended up getting pulled when they made the announcement they were canceling the game. They're just... from the rumors... this is just what they've done publicly. And the rumors behind a lot of this is that they're actually just getting out of gaming altogether. They're moving more towards... slot machines and that kind of gaming, and mobile gaming, which is, I don't know, that'd be really sad. No more Metal Gear. I love Metal Gear. Those games are probably some of the most cinematic and enjoyable games I've ever played. Consider the fact that they may just be tossing it away just because we're moving on to something else, guys. It's a tough one for me.
That's very strange, especially for like you said, a major company who, Sega, when their system bombs, Sega still makes games where they produce them or whatnot. So, I can kind of see, maybe getting out of production, but to get out of them altogether just seems very odd, especially if there's no, financial, if you're having financial problems, your game company can't survive. Okay, I get that, but to just kind of to close shop like that or to just pull up your stakes is, like you said, is definitely very disappointing, especially for somebody who's got so much history in the industry.
And one of the things I was reading recently is that they're actually apparently a very diverse company. So they do own, a lot of money in slot machine kind of gaming. They have money in all sorts of other areas that are not video game related. So apparently they're just folding up the video game side of the company, but leaving everything else going.
Yeah, but it sounds like it doesn't seem like there was any, you fold up. I don't know. I guess most times you fold up because you're not making money or you're losing money on something,
Exactly.
not necessarily just because you just want to get out of it. So I wonder if Kojima was so influential in it that something happened between him and them, so they're just nope, that's why we're done. But it doesn't sound like there's really been a whole lot of confirmation of that. Yeah. It's been rumored, I think, from what you were saying and little things I've read, but...
Exactly. It's all based on rumor as to why this is happening, but it definitely seems like something that's happening. So I guess we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. The last... Well, I don't want to say the last Metal Gear game, but the current... Well, the only Metal Gear game that is currently on target to be released is coming out in September. And Kojima has confirmed that he's going to work through 100% that game coming out. And that's all he would talk about. He wouldn't say anything else about the other stuff that's been going on with Konami. But, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that may be contractual. A lot of those places have, non-disclosure agreements. So, I mean, he may not be, it may have to be something that comes from Konami because he may not be allowed to say anything.
Exactly. And that's fine. And I fully understand all of that. You know what? I'm just scared to see what's going to happen. What can we do?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll follow up as more information comes in. I'm sure we'll absolutely follow up on that and post some updates as we go if there anything new comes out on that.
Oh, so semi-related, one of the new things that I just happened to see is, so like I said, Silent Hill is another one of those games that got canceled that has it has a demo out. So people are actually selling their PS4s that have this demo installed on it. They're trying to sell it on eBay for $1,500. Just to kind of make a quick buck, because it's something that you're never going to get. You're never going to get the full game, and you're never going to get the demo again. So if you want it, give me $1,500 and you can get a PS4 with it already installed.
24 hours ago, I'd have laughed horribly at that. But after our conversation earlier today about your Chrono Trigger game, what that's worth, and the other game we were talking about and how much that was worth, somebody will pay it. I mean, I can absolutely believe that some person who's huge on Metal Gear Solid will pay it. I'd be willing to bet.
I am positive somebody will. Not me, because I don't have money to throw away like that, but somebody will.
Right, because like you said, you have two 10-year-old girls. You're screwed.
I'm a budget gamer. What can I say?
Exactly.
So in other gaming news, Steam came out with this new feature for mods, basically to allow mod developers to sell their mods on the Steam Workshop.
So you mean modifications, not necessarily moderators?
Correct.
Okay, just because mods can mean either thing, so I just thought I'd clarify.
Yeah, so people that had made a modification to a game, and specifically the first game they were doing was around Skyrim. So people that had created modifications, whether it's custom weapons or even like full-blown overhauls, like with I believe that was called Frost, was one of the big ones. You could sell that now through the Steam Workshop and make money. And apparently this led to nothing but a huge uproar in the modding community. And within a day, maybe two, Steam had totally backed down, refunded anyone that actually bought stuff their money, and has now removed the feature. Which is just so asinine.
I think it's... I honestly completely understand it, because I think it goes back to what we were just talking about with the Fiverr thing, of selling somebody else's work. You're modding based on a property that you don't own, and you're making money off of somebody else's base work without their permission to use intellectual property. So, I mean, I get it. I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily know I agree.
Well,
I don't know enough about it, but I understand why Steam would back down and start refunding money, because honestly, to me, it would seem like a copyright issue.
Well, now, to clarify, it was actually not a copyright issue because Bethesda, the company that actually makes Skyrim, was on board with this. They were perfectly okay with this. They were actually even getting a cut of the money. So I believe, I think Steam was getting 25% of the money, and then Bethesda was getting a cut from whatever Steam's 25 was. They were getting a cut of that. Gotcha.
So basically what you just said is I get to cut the rest. I get to cut that whole section out. Awesome.
No, it's education. I'm educating. I'm laying down the laws of I'm done with the education references. All right, so...
Sorry, go ahead.
So it's so it's definitely something that was allowed. It was really just the users like us that were not us specifically, but the user end that were bitching so loudly about it that Steam decided to pull it. And I mean, I really don't understand why. Okay, I understand why Steam pulled it. And I understand why people were complaining. I just think everyone was wrong all the way around.
Okay, so since I have no idea, what was the base argument for what they were complaining about?
The base argument that people were complaining about was that these are modifications that have typically, I mean, all the way back through PC gaming, going all the way back to forever, have usually been free mods. People spend their time developing this and then just give it away to the community for free. So that's the big thing people were complaining about was, you know what, wait, I have, people were bitching over the fact that, you know what, this is something I've always gotten for free and now suddenly I have to pay money for it. And I get that point. And see, what I think Steam did wrong was making it a buy model rather than a donate model. So really, I think they would have been fine if they're launching all these mods and saying, look, you can still get it, just select, $0, and you can download that mod. Or you can select $5 and give $5 to the developer for making it. I think that would have been a smarter way for Steam to go about it, rather than just straight up, no, this mod is here, and you have to pay $5 to get it.
Yeah, so if they'd gone more like a Humble Bundle type model of pay what you want.
Exactly. I think that would have worked well, and I don't think people would have been as upset if that was the case.
Yeah, I can totally see that. My other thought on that is, if you don't want to pay for it, hey, guess what? Don't buy it. Problem solved.
Yeah. That
I mean, very simplistic solution, but
people are not happy like that. They're not smart like us, man. If something's wrong, they got to yell about it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like most of the internet, including us.
Hey, I don't yell about things.
No, not at all.
Not often.
Exactly. So it sounds like I think we've pretty much drawn to the end of our episode tonight. So I think we've had a good return, and we promise all of our faithful listeners it will not be nearly quite so long between this episode and the next one.
Indeed. I'll make sure that this guy over here doesn't go run away and take another vacation on us.
Yeah, well, hopefully, we'll have a little bit of break someday when my house sells and I get to move. So we'll plan for that, and make some. Maybe Sean will host an episode on you can host something by yourself, or we'll figure something out. I'll podcast from the road in a hotel somewhere in Nebraska or some shit.
Take the show on the road.
Yeah, literally. So, all right. Well, this has been A View from the Podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Sean.
And we'll see you next time. Night, guys.
Later, all.
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 Night, guys.
Later, all.